Oh my goodness. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe. Floating through the void of Yahweh's creation, it is October 7th. Yes, it's the 2-year anniversary of the attack in, I don't know, I'm a little bit discombobulated here. I lost track of the time, and I started about 30 seconds late. And I don't know if there's a replay going on at the same time, so hopefully we'll get that straightened out. Anyway, welcome to the Tuesday edition, the Taco Tuesday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist. And there's a lot of stuff to go through today. I apologize for my tardiness. I got myself wrapped up in all of the audio clips that are out there. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. I will get into some of the events about what happened, 2 years ago today. But I think the big story right now is what's going on with Candace Owens. Now, Candace Owens, of course, has been very much maligned and attacked over the past several weeks by members of the TPUSA, and they basically want to shut her up. And, well, I'll tell you, she came with the receipts, folks. All of you folks have been pointing your fingers and attacking Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Ian Carroll and Ryan Mata. Guess what? You guys going to have to just sit down and eat some crow at this point. Anyway, where do I start? Well, let's first off start at what's going on as far as these receipts that Candace Owens has brought forward. It's all over the internet. And, of course, a lot of it's being squashed. A lot of the social media platforms out there are just flooded, absolutely flooded with pro-Israel posts. And, of course, they're getting, they're getting paid for doing that. But we'll get to that in just a second here. But first off, I want to post something from Eric Moutsos, something like that. And anyway, here is what he had to say about that.
And she brought the receipts.
With Israel bullying him, and I am now going to present you proof of what I am saying. This is an actual group chat, which happened 2 days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. There were 9 people in total on this chat, including Charlie and Rob McCoy. I'm going to protect the names of the other 7 for now. To be clear, I might actually release a name every day this week, but I want to show you this because suffice it to say, Rob McCoy was on this text thread, and I think it helps contextualize him as a person, in my view, that he would attack me for telling the truth about the pressure that he was facing. Take a look. So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, ugh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause.
Wow.
And somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term. In my opinion, like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times after the dust settles a bit, maybe. So again, this is 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was very clear and he was very explicit, and he did not back down, not in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about, nor in this text thread. I'm not going to reveal the names of the other 7. Actually, you know what? I disagree with myself 4 seconds ago. Let's just throw in Josh Hammer for funsies. He's on this chat, okay?
Ooh, she is dropping the receipts and the names, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I think a lot of people out there, if you were a supporter of Charlie Kirk, if you were a supporter of TPUSA, you have to be asking the question, why was TPUSA so, shall we say, hostile towards Candace Owens and others who are digging into what happened the day that Charlie was assassinated? Why are they not releasing the video footage that they've got from many different angles? Why are they not asking these questions? Why are they strangely silent? These are very serious questions that need to be asked. because I have a very bad feeling about this, that TPUSA has been manipulated. Maybe they've been threatened. Maybe they've been paid off. Maybe they were infiltrated right from the very beginning. I mean, let's face it, for the longest time, Charlie was a very strong supporter of Israel. But like I've said on this program so many times, you have the right to change your mind. When you're presented with information that basically challenges your beliefs, yes, you have to overcome ego and pride and look at that information, and you might have to admit to yourself and to others, gosh, I was wrong about something. And I think that's exactly what happened with Charlie over the past couple months, is that he started to realize that Israel is not a good guy. I think that that's why he decided that he was going to have to pull his support from supporting Israel. And this goes across the board. Now, like I said, Ryan Mata has, bless his heart, he has been doing a yeoman's job into investigation along with Ian Carroll. And there are a lot of contributors out there. Ryan Mata is putting the call out to all the internet sleuths, and they've been contacting him and sending him tons of information. And it's all coming out. And the FBI official narrative is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely, okay, for instance, the autopsy report that came in. Now, I don't know how much of that we can trust. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of questions about, what happened when Charlie got to the hospital, yada, yada. But the point is that they were saying that, yes, Charlie's spine was made of steel. It stopped the bullet. Okay, remember, you've been hearing about that, If Charlie, even in death, Charlie was saving lives because his spine stopped the bullet and that could possibly have killed some people behind him. Well, that's, of course, going on the official narrative that he was shot in the front, and we all saw that horrible wound that he suffered, and the blood spilling out and all that. They're saying that was where the bullet came in. Well, according to the autopsy, that's impossible. The reason being is because the spine, the C1 and C2 vertebrae, just below the skull. Okay, as a matter of fact, if you take your hand and put it on the right side of your head, on the right side of your skull, and then move down towards your neck, and you'll find that the skull, gets into the soft area. They're saying that right in there, that's where the C1, C2 vertebrae are. Now, you stop and think about that. Now, put your finger where you saw the wound, and you'll see that wound on his neck would have to be coming from below and up to hit those two vertebrae. And that's inconsistent with Tyler Robinson firing from a rooftop. That would have had to come down. So in order for that to happen, Charlie would have had to have been hit square in the face, right in the mouth, to take out those two vertebrae. And that did not happen. So now what's happening is that they're saying, well, that wound on his neck was the exit wound. And that's consistent with being shot from behind. And so this is raising some very serious questions. And again, TPUSA has the footage. They have the footage from multiple angles, and they won't release it. Why do you suppose that is? So this whole thing stinks to high heaven. And meanwhile, Bibi Netanyahu is paying people off to the tune of $7,000 a pop. And like I was just saying, the social media platforms are flooded with pro-Israel propaganda. And even Clayton Morris on his podcast, Redacted, was pointing this out.
You can always tell when the U.S. and Israel are getting ready to launch another war because the online propaganda gets turned up to 11. This week, we learned that Israel is paying U.S. influencers, content creators, around $7,000 per online post, promoting Israel, slamming Qatar, the normal talking points. Benjamin Netanyahu met this past week with a group of these influencers to give them some marching orders. Watch.
Christian influencers, okay. You said, you talked about the woke right, and you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff there I wanted to get to. Let me see if I can scroll through here and get this audio clip. Where the heck is it? Come on, Dave. Oh, boy. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? There's just so much to go through here. Unbelievable. But anyway, so, here it is. Here it is. Okay. What happened is that Tucker Carlson is raising some very serious questions about this whole thing. Listen up.
We talked about the woke right. He said, I call it the woke Reich.
It's almost unbelievable that he said that on camera. Imagine. This is a foreign leader bragging about how he's censoring Americans. Again, this guy runs a country of 9 million people that's totally dependent on our tax dollars to exist. And here he is on camera saying, anyone who opposes me in the United States, who opposes more aid to Israel or opposes getting sucked into war with Iran, which does not serve American interests, that person is not simply mistaken or wrong. I'm not going to bother to explain why that person is wrong. That person is a Nazi, part of the woke Reich, a Nazi. And the only way to fix it is by preventing Americans in the last country on earth with guaranteed freedom of speech, prevent Americans from hearing the other side. And so we push Congress to force a TikTok sale, which is true, by the way.
TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential.
And we need to talk to Elon.
So we have to talk to Elon.
Free speech is central to the entire idea of America. In fact, it's really the only thing that sets us apart from any other country on earth. And here's this guy, a foreign head of state, who, let me restate, is totally dependent on our tax dollars to exist, is saying Americans don't have that right, and he's going to do some kind of secret pressure campaign on Elon Musk to censor X because it bothers Israel?
We got some problems here, folks. Because as we know, the mainstream legacy media has been just falling from grace for the past several years. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, we all know that their ratings are in the toilet. Everybody's been getting their news from social media platforms, from TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, you name it. That's where the news is. But now, all of these platforms are being very heavily infiltrated by posters who are being paid to post. $7,000 a pop. Yeah, you can buy a lot of influence for $7,000 per post, and it's blatant. It's in your face, total control. And this is why so many folks like myself and other, conservative broadcasters are screaming from the rooftops, we've got to get control of the media. And, well, that's what Bibi Netanyahu is doing, but he's got some deep pockets. I mean, think about it, $7,000 per post. How many posts? I mean, if you were to turn it into a full-time job and just post on social media, let's say you make a little 2-minute video, and then you throw it up on X, there's $7,000. You throw it on an Instagram, $7,000. You put it up on TikTok, $7,000. We're up to $21,000 for a 2-minute video. So, I mean, this is what's happening. Now, I don't have the deep pockets. I can't pay $7,000 for people to, post stuff that's exposing Israel. And neither can you. Anyway, by the way, let me throw the phone number out there. If anybody's out there listening and you want to call in, you're welcome to do so. The number here is 215-867-8255. Again, that's 215-867-8255. So anyway, back on this issue here. Yes, all of this information is coming out about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And it seems like every single point that has been made by the FBI and their official narrative, one by one, all of their points are being dispelled and proven incorrect. So now that takes us up to the top of the food chain. What's going on with Kash Patel? What is going on with him? Well, a lot of the internet sleuths now are taking a look at the associations that he has in his family. Okay, his wife, or his girlfriend rather, she has some very interesting connections, and I would suggest you do some research into that. I'm not going to get into all the details, but it raises some very serious questions about Kash Patel's, shall we say, integrity. So, I mean, how are we going to get the truth out of the FBI? The whole point was, once Trump got elected and Cash got in there and he brought in Dan Bongino, and of course Pam Bondi now is supposed to be, Attorney General, and none of them are doing anything. They're flip-flopping, and so's Trump. So I don't know how we're going to get ourselves out of this. But the bottom line here is this whole thing about Israel being our greatest ally. Now everybody's on top of this and saying, wait a second, that's not true. What's his name? Owen Schroyer. He was working with Alex Jones and InfoWars, and they came to an impasse, and now Schroyer is out on his own. He posted the following.
Stop telling people Israel is our greatest ally. Just stop this game, okay? Please. Please, it's embarrassing. Why do Americans have such a big issue right now with the Israeli lobby? Well, isn't it obvious? Because the Israeli lobby has more influence over our political issues and policies and politicians than the American people do.
True that.
You can't have the Adelsons, you can't have the AIPAC lobby able to spend hundreds of millions of dollars that results in Israel first policies, and then people sit here and they say, I'm sick of the Israeli lobby. And they say, well, gee, why? What's so bad about that? Because the Israeli lobby has more say in D.C. than Americans. The average American can't afford to donate $5,000, $5 million, let alone 500 to a campaign. They don't get any influence. They don't get the access. They don't get the influence, so they get left out. And it doesn't matter who the politician is. Trump has proved it. It doesn't matter.
That's right. It doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all. Israel has been paying off our politicians through AIPAC. And, okay, of course, there's the Anti-Defamation League. I call them the Anti-Defecation League because they're full of crap. I mean, these are lobbyists. These are lobbyists. And all of those people who are posting, getting paid $7,000 by their actions, they are lobbying for Israel. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, hey, all these people who are posting, they need to register with FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act, as AIPAC should be registering with FARA as well. Of course, we know that JFK was demanding that exact thing happen. We all know what happened to JFK all those years ago. But the bottom line here is that our country has been taken over. What was it, 2 weeks ago? They had that big convention in Tel Aviv, 50 states and one Israel. This is insane. As a matter of fact, I got another clip here. This is, let me see. This is from Eric Warsaw. He's been doing a lot of good stuff, too. Here's Eric Warsaw.
The FBI is breaking with the ADL? Really, the ADL should be registered as a foreign agent. They work strictly for blue states' influence. And exactly how much influence did blue states' ADL have on the FBI? Well, they were somehow allowed to train the FBI.
On an almost weekly basis, our team at the ADL Center on Extremism is in touch with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, sharing information.
I want to thank the ADL today for your support in conducting the training that all of our new special agents and intelligence analysts participate in.
And FBI Director Kash Patel himself even said, and I quote, "This FBI won't partner with political fronts masquerading as watchdogs," and then also called them disgraceful ops spying on Americans. Wow, and 100% true. I never thought I'd be agreeing with Kash Patel. For at least one time, thank you. I also don't think this will last long. The ADL is a major source of suppression in America for the sake of blue state. They are the ones who clamp down on our education system, inside big businesses, on social media, and everywhere else. They lead in protecting Zio supremacy. They cannot lose control of this area. So we shall see what happens. Unity is victory. Hopefully the FBI can hold them back.
Yeah, absolutely. Unity is victory. And keep in mind, folks, that the powers that be, they want a civil war. They want to pit the right versus the left, and that's a horizontal conflict. That's not going to solve anything. We need a vertical conflict, bottom to top. We got to get rid of the people up there pulling the strings. And I think it's becoming increasingly evident who is pulling the strings, what entities are pulling the strings. And this has been going on for a long, long time. And when does it come to an end? It comes to an end when you say it's going to come to an end. When the people of this country say, not no, but hell no. Now, a couple of days, what was it, yesterday, the day before, Bibi Netanyahu was being interviewed, And does this sound like a threat to you? Listen to this.
Iran is developing now ballistic missiles that are intercontinental ballistic missiles for 8,000 kilometer.
Okay, I'm pausing it. He's talking about Iran has got these missiles now. So he's talking about Iran.
Range. What does that mean? They add another 3,000 kilometers, and they've got under their atomic guns, the New York City in target, Washington, Boston, Miami, Mar-a-Lago.
Ooh.
Okay? So that is a very great danger. You don't want to be under the nuclear gun of these people who are not necessarily rational and who chant death to America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, that sounds like a threat. That sounds like a threat to me. And he's, of course, saying that Iran would be the ones who would launch these missiles. Oh, really? Remember how he pushed for weapons of mass destruction? Yeah, during, 2003 and the second Iraq war? He lied over and over and over again. We remember GW and Colin Powell, they were parroting this intel that they got from Israel. Weapons of mass destruction. WMD. That's right, the WMD. It's over there. Gotta get it. You remember that? Well, the bottom line here is that I don't think that Israel can be trusted. And the more that we look into the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the more we have to ask who benefited and also who felt threatened by Charlie Kirk's backing out of supporting Israel. I mean, that was huge. That was absolutely huge. And a lot of people say that Donald Trump might not have been elected last year if it hadn't been for Charlie Kirk's efforts and rallying all the young conservatives to get behind him. So the bottom line here is that, yeah, Charlie Kirk was a huge influence. And for him to all of a sudden back out of his support of Israel, now why do you suppose that is? Well, now that leads us to today's date, October 7th. 2 years ago today was that infamous day that Hamas attacked Israel. That's the narrative that we've been told over and over and over again. It's just like, it's like a chant. It's like a mantra that we hear over and over and over and over again. I mean, let me see. There's a whole bunch of them that they've been saying. Okay, 6 million. What do you think of when you hear the number 6 million? We think of the Holocaust. The Holocaust, Hamas, gas chambers. Israel has the right to defend itself. October 7th, gas chambers, anti-Semites, the Holocaust, 6 million, Hamas. Israel has the right to defend itself. 6 million, Hamas, the Holocaust. October 7th, God's chosen people, anti-Semites. Israel has the right to defend itself. October 7th, gas chambers, the Holocaust, gas chambers, the Holocaust, 6 million, Hamas, anti-Semites. That's what we get. Remember, a lie told often enough becomes the truth. And also, history is written by those who hang the heroes. They also say if you want to know who's in control, notice who you're not allowed to criticize. Yeah. Well, if the shoe fits. So now what happens? Now we have to take a look at October 7th. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I made a little folder here for today's date, and I have a couple of clips. And number one, write this one down. I've been telling you about this for months and months and months. There is a documentary film out there, and it's called "Israel Was Behind the Attacks on October 7th, 2023, as It Was an Inside Job." It's a documentary by John Hankey, and you can find it on Rumble. Again, Israel was behind the attacks of Israel was behind the attacks of October 7th, 2023, as it was an inside job. I have a couple clips from this, and I want to share them. Now, first of all, you're going to hear, let's hear from Francesco Albanese. Now, she's been saying this for a long time. Listen up.
I'm just saying that an entire population is paying for what Hamas has done. And by the way, Just a few months ago, Israeli leaders were reported saying that Hamas was an asset to Israel.
Hamas was an asset to Israel. That's interesting because back in 2019, Bibi Netanyahu is quoted as saying, and I quote, "If we want to secure a state of Palestine," in other words, if we want to take that over, in order to secure the state of Palestine, we must support Hamas, we must fund Hamas. That's what he said. As a matter of fact, we have Ehud Barak, who was a former prime minister there, was being interviewed, and listen to what he had to say.
So are you saying Benjamin Netanyahu deliberately boosted Hamas to try to prevent a Palestinian state?
Okay,
that's true. He deliberately and systematically even told, is on record, whoever wants to avoid the threat of a two-state solution has to support my policy of paying protection money to the Hamas.
Okay, that's from Ehud Barak. Okay, and now we hear from Ami Ayalan. He was a former head of Shin Bet. Here's what he had to say about this.
So what we did, with the permission of our Prime Minister, is to let Qatar to transfer a huge amount of money in cash, probably more than $1.4 billion. By doing it, we increased the power of Hamas. We did everything in order to make sure that Hamas will go on controlling Gaza and Palestinian Authority will control the West Bank, so they will fight each other.
Yeah, that's, see how they do it? They're paying for both sides. And then there's a former, let me see, who's this next guy?
Netanyahu maintains the Qatar money was to avoid a humanitarian catastrophe. Having helped to build up Hamas, Netanyahu has now vowed to destroy it.
He fed the beast, and it exploded in our face.
This is a former IDF commander here.
If you base your national security strategy solely on force, then you need to win 24/7 forever.
Okay, that was Yehud Yaor. I can't pronounce that, but those are all officials from Israel. And they're all basically admitting that the whole thing is Hamas is being funded by and promoted by, and it's the Hannibal Directive. So again, this I'm telling you, folks, you got to see this documentary film because it exposes everything. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of IDF soldiers who made the following statements, and I got this clip directly from the documentary that I was just talking about. Listen up.
Israel is probably the most advanced surveillance state in the world, and the Gaza border is probably the most heavily surveilled. I know all these things firsthand because I served on the Gaza border. Do you know how long it takes an attack helicopter to get activated and blow up any one of those tractors or pickup trucks? Less than 5 minutes. It could have been a matter of 5 minutes before the whole thing was upended. I'm sorry, that's an inside job.
I am an Israeli. I live in Jerusalem. I was serving in the army. I was in intelligence unit. The fence is guarded 24/7, not only by patrolling cars, not only by cameras, not only by a fence that is an electric fence, also by a laser that is activating an alarms. Nobody can cross that fence. You cannot enter unless you have help from inside. There was help from inside. This operation was not made by Hamas. The plan is to flatten Gaza. Let's talk the truth. There was help from inside. This operation was not made by Hamas. This operation was an operation that was an excuse for a bigger cause.
That's right, an excuse for a bigger cause. And what do you suppose that bigger cause is? Well, you know what? They've done geological studies, and they found that there is, close to $480 billion, maybe close to $500 billion in natural gas and oil deposits underneath the Gaza Strip and just offshore. I'm sure that would have nothing to do with their desire to go in there. No, they wouldn't do that, would they? And then in the year 2000, 25 years ago, they drew up plans to build a canal. They were going to call it the Ben Gurion Canal, and the plans were going to take that canal right through Gaza, right through Palestine, and they wanted to basically build this canal to go into competition with the Suez Canal. So they do have, shall we say, some monetary influences going on there. Does that make sense? Of course it does. But like I said, Clayton Morris is, let me see if I can find that here. Let me see, $7,000 per post. Let me see. Is that the one? I have a couple of things here. Yeah, okay, I want to play this part of the this clip again here, because he does get into some of the reasons behind all of this skullduggery.
Well, you can always tell when the U.S. and Israel are getting ready to launch another war because the online propaganda gets turned up to 11. This week, we learned that Israel is paying U.S. influencers, content creators, around $7,000 per online post, promoting Israel, slamming Qatar, the normal talking points. Benjamin Netanyahu met this past week with a group of these influencers to give them some marching orders. Watch.
Okay, we've already been through the... well, I'll play it again. Here it is.
Christian influencers. Okay. You said, we talked about the woke right. And you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant...
And they all laugh. The woke Reich.
Because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're amazing. But
so he went on to talk all about how we need our influencers. We're losing basically the war
narrative
for our minds.
Yeah,
We're
the
losing
narrative.
the information war, and we need our influencers. All of you sitting around this table, we need you. Go
He
back.
literally said, now we have TikTok. This deal's going through, and we have it. That's anti-Semitic to say that the Jews own any media. So you've been busted, Benjamin Netanyahu, for saying something anti-Semitic, that we own the media.
Benjamin Netanyahu is an anti-Semite. We've called them out. But anyway, all these influencers who are sitting around this table were like, just sitting there like, yeah, we really, thank you. We're getting our marching orders. So go back to your respective areas and start posting information. Well, his message worked because shortly after that meeting, we started getting these types of cringy video posts from influencers. Watch.
Hey guys, wow, I am feeling good about the news out of DC today. I love seeing Bibi and Trump together and their camaraderie. I think it just makes me really happy. And I'm happy to see them on great terms after the drama with Qatar, which, by the way, I never understood. Can you imagine if the U.S. went into Pakistan to kill Osama bin Laden and the Western world was mad about that?
Yeah, so Qatar, of course, is a key piece of this, right?
And I'm going to pause it right there. Absolutely, because what's been going on is that Bibi Netanyahu and Israel, they send the money over to Qatar, and then Qatar funds Hamas. So they don't have, the fingerprints aren't going directly to Hamas. They basically send it through Qatar or Qatar.
And we have a new influencer list, by the way. Let's put this up on the screen. This is the FARA registration list that shows that Israel paid $900,000 for U.S. influencers from July through December 2025. This is a list of identified pro-Israeli influencers who attended the Israel influencer events between August and September, and the Israel 365 trip to Israel. This is and also Bill Ackman's Hampton retreat and Netanyahu's influencer event.
No, notice we said through December 2025. So we're not done getting this, you guys. The assignments are still out. We're still going to be the recipients of that kind of content.
Can we put that back up on the screen, though? Because you'll see, I think at the very top, you'll see, are those the two individuals in this next video? Or Emily Saves America? Yeah, anyway, you'll see Xavier Derasi and another individual there. And this video, this one is the cringiest one you're going to see, but, just take a look. We'll play just a few seconds of it. I have to turn it off pretty quickly because it's so painful to watch. Watch.
Imagine supporting people who start wars just to lose the wars so they can cry about it and then try it all again.
You must see anti-Semites are literally obsessed with Jews.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there because the guy that just said that was in another video that he was walking around outside in front of all these big pallets of food, and they were saying, oh, all this food is available to the Palestinians, but Hamas won't distribute it. I mean, they're just lying over and over and over and over again. It just doesn't stop. It's just so frustrating to watch this because, unfortunately, there is a huge percentage of the American population that is swallowing this intellectual fecal matter. It's unbelievable. And meanwhile, like I said, more and more people are starting to realize that this October 7th thing is a huge sham. It was the Hannibal Directive. As a matter of fact, the Cradle, which is let me see, this is published by Caitlin Johnstone. She says, never forget October 7, 2023, that fateful day when Israelis were brutally massacred by Israeli tanks and Israeli helicopters and Israeli drones and Israeli soldiers and Israeli bullets. Also, by Hamas a bit. And the Cradle reports the headlines here, says ex-Israeli war chief confirms issuing the Hannibal Directive to kill its own civilians and soldiers on October 7th. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Hannibal Directive is, it's basically when you attack yourself and blame somebody else. And the more you look into this whole thing, the more you realize that this is not just a probability, a possibility, but a probability. But people have to think outside of the cage. If you're just getting all of your information from the mainstream networks and from the talking points you hear over and over and over, Holocaust, 6 million, excuse me, we hear those words over and over and over again. And like I said, a lie told often enough becomes the truth. So let me see here. Let me see what else I got here. There's a couple of things here. I would love to be able to play some of the audio clips from Ryan Mata, but he does, when he gets on a roll, he got a potty mouth. And I can't share some of this stuff because it's filled with F-bombs, et cetera, et cetera. But he, like I said, between he and Ian Carroll and Candace Owens, and let me see, and what's his name? Dave Smith and Anna Kasparian. I mean, a lot of these people are just blowing this story out of the water. And we have to support these people. Don't listen to the detractors and saying, that they hate their country and they're anti-Semites and everything like that. I'm telling you, Israel is on its way down. I think that they've already lost the narrative. We just heard that they're going to continue paying the social influencers, $7,000. I've also heard $7,500, but they're going to continue to do this through December. And I have to tell you, it's depressing. When I opened up and started scrolling through, with Facebook or X or what have you, I mean, I would say 8 out of 10 posts are all pro-Israel. And if you don't support Israel, you're an anti-Semite and stuff. It's over and over again. They've been, hey, Elon Musk, if somebody could tag Elon Musk out there, say, hey, you got to stop this. I don't know if you can. It's supposed to be a free speech platform. However, all these people who are posting, like I said a couple of minutes ago, they need to register with FARA. And anyway, it's just, it carries on and carries on. All right, well, let me see. Once again, the phone number here is 215-867-8255. That's 215-867-8255. You can call in right now. I'll put you right on the air. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw a tune on here for a couple of seconds, because it's all what they're trying to do here is they're trying to, like I said, pit the right versus the left, and get us to fight against each other. Oh, and Laura Loomer, now she's trying to say that China was behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Well, you talk about deflection. But then again, Laura Loomer, I've got one of the audio clips somewhere in my computer here where she flat out says, I'm a Zionist and I'm proud of it. Okay, Laura, good for you. Anyway, here's a quick tune here to basically put things into perspective when it comes to hate speech. Oh boy, here we go.
Some people hate me because of words that I sing. Some people hate me because I'm doing my thing. Some people hate me because of words that I say. That doesn't stop me, gonna say them anyway. Some people hate me because of thoughts that I think. Some people hate me because I don't like to drink. Some people hate me because I won't live their lie. Some people hate and they don't even know why. Some people hate because they just won't understand. Some people just ignore the laws of the land. Some people hate because they don't know how to love. Some people don't acknowledge God up above. Some people hate and say there's folks hating them, and so they vilify, coerce, and condemn. Some people hate because it's all that they know. Don't wanna hear that ye shall reap what ye sow. Some people hate because there's money to make. Their faces on TV, the action news break. Just for a moment, if they'd open their eyes, they'd understand and they could see through the lies. They demonize, they ridicule and berate. They show contempt before they examinate. They say they're righteous, but they live like a sleaze. They lie and slander, and they do it with ease. It's up to us to show the others the way. Set the example, we can do that today. Show all our countrymen we've nothing to hide. We've got the Constitution on our side. Next time you're told that there are people to hate, to know your foe you must investigate. You just might find out somewhere somebody lied. You could discover that you're on the wrong side. Sometimes we all have got to swallow our pride. We've got the Constitution on our side.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary. And you can get more tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and it'll take you down to a window where you can click on the Get More Tank logo there, and it'll tell you all about the specifications and details of how and why this fuel catalyst works. It'll clean out your engine, give you more power, and as you use it, you'll see that your mileage will increase anywhere between 15 and 20%, depending, of course, on your make, model, year of the vehicle and your driving habits. But if you get 20% better mileage, that means with one purchase of Get More Tank, by the time you've gotten to your fifth tank of fuel, that fifth tank is free. So this is a no-brainer. As a matter of fact, I had one of our callers called in and had this to say about Get More Tank.
All right, let's go to Chicago. Say hi to Jerry. Jerry, thank you for holding. You're on the air. What do you got?
Hey, this is what I got for you. I started using that GetMoreTank.com back around May in 2 different vehicles. And I'll tell you what, my fuel economy went up in one of them, Toyota RAV4 2019, and went up about 4.6 miles per gallon. I keep track of it.
Wow, good for you.
And 2019 Ford Transit with a 5-cylinder inline diesel engine, I went from 15.8 average to 17.2. And I'm also putting it in my chainsaw. I haven't noticed the difference with the chainsaw. I can't figure fuel economy on that. But, hey, that's all I wanted to say to you. Have a good show.
Hey, Jerry, thank you so much for the endorsement. It's a good product. It really is. And not only that, I'm sure that everything's running better as well. I noticed that in my Toyota Highlander. When I hit the gas, I almost feel G-forces, you know. So, hey, thank you much for that endorsement, Jerry. I appreciate that.
Okay, so that was a few months ago, but you can benefit from Get More Tank as well. So again, visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and Get More Tank. All right, back into this issue about Hamas and about the October 7th attack. Jeffrey Sachs. He this is, again, I took this clip from that documentary I was just telling you about. October 7th attack was an inside job. It's on Rumble. But anyway, here's what Jeffrey Sachs had to say.
What is one of the dark truths that is known to experts and should be known to the public is Netanyahu played with Hamas. He built Hamas. He supported Hamas. He gave Hamas the base in Gaza because he wanted to weaken the Palestinians in general, because he's been playing a game all along to avoid a Palestinian state. And you can read about this everywhere now. This is even told by his own political associates.
Yep. It's becoming common knowledge. All you have to do is do a little bit of research, just a little bit, and you'll find out that we have had the wool pulled over our eyes. Well, maybe not we listening to this broadcast, but the overwhelming majority of the American population is still buying the narrative. And the narrative is totally flawed. And you couple that with what's being exposed with Charlie Kirk's assassination. How do you think all of the Charlie Kirk supporters out there are going to feel if this information gets out that TPUSA may very well be directly involved in the assassination? I mean, let that settle in. What if TPUSA was directly involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination? And if it's deeds, not words, you look at the actions that have been taken over the past several weeks. I mean, is TPUSA taking action that wants to expose and find who killed Charlie Kirk? Are they doing anything at all to address all of the anomalies and the inconsistencies of the narrative? Are they doing anything at all to advance the investigation? No. In fact, they're doing everything they can to hamper the investigation. That's why they're going after Candace Owens. And she just brought the receipts. And the receipts themselves prove that members of the TPUSA, I mean, they're basically lying. They've been lying. They were saying that, Charlie had broken off his contact with Candace Owens. He hadn't talked to her in 2 years. And that's a lie, because she was part of the TPUSA tour a year ago. And she's got the receipts of the text messages between her and Charlie Kirk. So TPUSA is actively covering up. So we have to ask the question, why? And who is pulling the strings? Who is pushing the buttons? See, like I said, the more you dig into this, the more it stinks. And it's a good thing that people are digging into this. And like I said, I don't know if I played this clip earlier, but it's worth repeating. This is Clayton Morris discussing this issue with Hamas.
Well, if you wanted to know why Israel stood down for 7 hours and allowed Hamas to carry out an attack, on October 7th, we all now know exactly why. It was all part of a plan to use it as a catalyst to permanently take over Gaza, of course, and the West Bank. Yes, according to Israeli leaked documents, the plan is to ethnically cleanse Gaza of all Palestinians, steal all of the land, of course, steal the minerals, steal the trillions of dollars of natural gas and other minerals off the coast, build new hotels and resorts in Gaza. After all, if you're well studied and educated, of course, you know that Israel and the United States created and funded Hamas, well documented. Netanyahu bragged about it, of course. It was a brilliant plan, actually, if you think about it, right? Create an enemy, create a bad guy to rally around and fight. It's like what the Wizard of Oz says, right? You need a good enemy. Everyone needs a good enemy to rally around. And if you fund them and you create them, it's the perfect catalyst. And it's just like what we did with Al-Qaeda. So here's Ron Paul to explain just a little bit of the history of how we created and funded Hamas.
But there's a political liability, which I think is something that we fail to look at because too often there's so much blowback from our intervention in areas that we shouldn't be involved in. You know, Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first, indirectly and directly through Israel, help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them.
Yeah.
So we have to kill them, right? Yeah. So that's exactly how it works. So the plan all along was to take over this land, push out all Palestinians so Israel would lay claim to this land. This isn't a conspiracy theory at all. It's in their own leaked documents.
Yes, it is. It's all over the place. And that's why yours truly's been screaming about this, almost for 2 years. And I'm telling you, you got to see this documentary. It'll blow the official narrative right out of the water. I mean, all the video footage is there. I mean, all the common sense is there. You know, more and more people are saying, wait a second, why was there a stand down order? And like Clayton Morris was just saying, you know, you got to have a boogeyman. We've been seeing that happen for years and years and years. For those of you who may recall my documentaries on the 9/11 issue, of course, that was all Osama bin Laden, the Taliban. Osama bin Laden, the Taliban, Osama bin Laden. Oh, and then it became Al-Qaeda. And then we had ISIS, you know, and then it was back to Al-Qaeda again. So we always have to have a boogeyman so that we can legitimize the military-industrial complex making a snot load of money. And all of our politicians, of course, they're being led around by some other influence. You know, I mean, the plan that Bibi Netanyahu and his cohorts have is, you know, is a greater Israel. Have you seen the map that they made? Yeah, do a search. Just put in greater Israel and then look for images. And you'll see that Netanyahu's plan is to take over a whole big area of the Middle East with Syria, Jordan, parts of Saudi Arabia, parts of Egypt. That's their plan. I mean, they're open about it. And they are playing our politicians, like I said, they're either paying them off, they're threatening them, or they're blackmailing them. Here it is again.
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Over and over and over again. So, you know, the hits just keep on coming. So people got to start thinking outside of the cage. And I'm not going to stop screaming about it. I'm not going to do it, and I hope that Candace Owens doesn't, and I hope that Ian Carroll and Ryan Mata and Dave Smith and all the other internet sleuths that are out there, you guys keep going. Keep doing it. Absolutely. We're not going to give up on this. And I'm sorry, but Bibi, you have lost. Yep, it's going to get bumpy, folks. And Israel, yeah, they're having some very serious problems, and I wouldn't doubt for a New York minute they're going to try to drag us into a war. Like you heard Bibi Netanyahu says that Iran has these long-range missiles, and they could attack the east coast of the United States. Well, what happens if there is an attack on the east coast of the United States? Do you think it's from Iran? I don't think so. I don't think that's what's going to happen. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's Tuesday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm Dave vonKleist. I thank you for your listenership. And if you're listening on BitChute or Rumble or YouTube or Facebook, please click like, share, subscribe, and spread the word. Word of mouth is the best way to get the word out. That said, we're flat out of time, so I'll be back again tomorrow. Stay safe, stay free, God bless you all, and toodaloo, I'll be back for Hump Day. Take care, folks.